everyone that came from many different countries, Hong Kong, India, Malaysia, Indonesia, I can go on and on, Japan, because people came from all different places. So thank you so much for making that effort. This is our first event, our first major event in this region. One of the things I wanted to impart to you and tell you a quick personal business-related story is that our company of 150 people, we grow somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40% a year top line growth. This region grows at double that, and that's because of each of you. It's because audience insights and data-driven initiatives have really started taking off in this region in the last 2 years. When we opened up here 5 to 6 years ago, it was a chore. It was not easy to have conversations with major publishers and marketers around data-driven initiatives, targeting, insights, modeling, the things that most of you are doing today. And the thing I'm most pleasantly surprised with is how fast the APAC region has embraced data. Much faster than Europe, and now you're even outpacing the US in terms of adoption and growth. So I thank all of you. I want to quickly acknowledge some of the folks that are here so you have an idea from our team who came over from the US, and that way if you have questions. First off, Mike Woosley's here. Mike, raise your hand. He's our Chief Operating Officer. Mike and I have worked together for close to 20 years. We were both senior folks at advertising.com, and we helped start advertising.com before we sold the company to AOL, and Mike is our Chief Operating Officer. I would like to introduce Pierre. Where is Pierre? Pierre, stand up so everybody can see you. You'll be hearing from Pierre. Pierre is our Director of Product Innovation, and he is responsible for all of our products and making sure we stay at the cutting edge. So you'll be hearing from Pierre later. I would like to introduce Danielle. Where's Danielle? Danielle helped put this event together, and I'd love to give Danielle a round of applause. I'd also like to, our VP of Marketing, Megan McKenna, is here, and Megan's done a great job putting this together. There's a couple people that are coming here later this afternoon who are flying in a bit late, but I wanted to make sure you had those folks. When DMP started in this region, it was about targeting using ad servers. And how do we build better audience to target on behalf of marketers and brands, and for brands, how do we find people on the exchanges to get better ROI? And that's all great. But I do want to share with you that it's advancing quickly. It's advancing past simply audience targeting. It's advancing quickly past audience targeting into things that drive ROI. And I'm putting this up here so that you have an idea of where your business could go. Accenture, we work with Accenture across many of their clients as they introduce data-driven initiatives to marketers in the US. And so we come in. The thing on the publisher side that I'm most proud of is this particular one, which is an 8-to-1 return on investment. Now, it's very tough in the first year or two for companies who have adopted DMP to immediately get that kind of return. It's nearly impossible. And the reason this is important is because that particular publisher was a major publisher. They had a plan, and they strategized, and they executed, and they continue to innovate and iterate. But one of the things they've done really well is, as a publisher, they've given insights to marketers in real time. They realized that Google and Facebook were taking market share from them. How many people in this room are concerned with Google and Facebook's walled gardens and what it could potentially do to your business? Raise your hand. Good. That's important. And it's important that everybody understands another thing, another huge opportunity. So I'm going to kind of go off of the train here because I want to get this out. In the US, when we did our last event in March, we had over 300 people come to the event. And one of the things I said was, and now it's good to know that you guys are also concerned about the Google, Facebook, quote unquote, walled gardens going up and how they're attracting more and more revenue from agencies and from brand marketers, and that's taking away from your businesses. I've long felt that each of you have two constituencies, two audiences. The first one is internal. How do I communicate data-driven initiatives to my bosses? How do I explain the investment in data when we don't have the ROI right away? And that's tough. I think we can help you with that. And the second one is external. How do I convince marketers to spend money with me? How do I convince publishers to work with us if you're a marketer? How do we win more budget? How do we do those things? So there's two groups. And now I'm going to argue there's a third group. And that third group is each of you. Each of you in this way. In the US, there are consortiums and groups that are now sharing data. Companies that were once fierce rivals are now partnering via second-party relationships. And you're going to hear about some of that today. But one of the things that came out of our event in March in the US was, I would like to see if there's an opportunity for each of you to partner with others in the room to start that conversation. Because people, Jesus, I'm sorry. People internally at your companies think that their data is the most valuable. You may think your company data is so much more valuable than everybody else. And it's probably true. My baby's the most beautiful baby. And therefore, we shouldn't share information with others. What I'm here to tell you is, you're going to need to. You're going to need to share data with other companies in your space that complement you and today that you compete with, because ultimately, you're not competing with each other. You're competing with Google and Facebook. And the only way to go combat them is through the advanced use of data. And it's not simply around audience targeting. It's not because you built a better segment of auto intenders or travel or retail. That's great. You know what's better than that? Finding new customers, doing deeper insights, doing modeling, fielding surveys to build new seed audiences so that you have new ways of building first-party data. Using video in new and dynamic ways. One of the challenges in APAC is there's so many different countries here that it seems incongruous, which means it just seems that it wouldn't work for an Indonesian company, publisher, and a company in Hong Kong to partner. And I will tell you that's not true. Because the reason those walls need to come down is because you could still use that data for insights. You could still use that data to differentiate. Because you know what brand marketers want that Google and Facebook don't give them? Tell me what else works. Tell me what's next. Tell me what I should be doing. And that is the leadership that data offers each of you, and DMP, the beginning stages is the foundational layer of DMP. And I came here today because A, I'm so psyched to do this event. But I'm more psyched if there is an opportunity for us to facilitate the connection of each of you to realize there's not one person in this room that competes with each other. Not one. Nobody here works for Google and Facebook. Nobody here is from News Corp that I know of. And those are the folks that those are your mortal enemies. And if you don't have a plan outside of your four walls to partner with others, there's going to be challenges ahead. In the programmatic space, in the video space, and in the PMPs. So I did want to talk about something happened in the last 2 hours. Some of you in this room know what happened, and I want to share why it's important to me. Is this going to fire up again?
It's Ignite.
So I started this company 11 years ago, and it's one of the, outside of my family, this thing is the most important to me. And I think many of you can understand that. And we got a call over the summer that we were nominated for this thing in the US, which is DMP of the Year. And today, in the US, in Beverly Hills at the Wilshire Hotel, 500 agencies, 500 people from agencies and marketers and publishers went to this hotel, and they called us on Wednesday and said, last week they said, are you sending somebody? Because you know you were nominated and you got a lot of responses. And I was here, and we're not going to go. And they said, we think you should send somebody. Well, we're up against Adobe, we're up against Salesforce, and we're up against Oracle. And so one of my guys sent a video before the thing. He said, listen, I'm here. This thing is so big. All these guys are sponsors. We didn't sponsor it. I don't think we're going to win, but hey, I'm glad we showed up. And the next video, an hour later, was, he was almost in tears. We won the award for DMP of the Year. I share that story, and I get a little choked up when I share that story, only because 11 years, and the only difference that I can tell you is the reason we won and what they told about us was our people. The people that touch you on behalf of our customers care. Alex and the entire team actually care, are vested in the success of your business. And we're vested in making sure you understand that we just don't want to be another technology trying to upsell you different products and services, and we don't care about all of those things. We want the foundational layer of first-party data and making sure that data is portable, that it drives insights, and ultimately it makes you money your businesses. But most of all, for each of you, it personally helps differentiate your careers. So that on your resume, on your LinkedIn, when you have conversations with people in the industry, you can actually talk about what's coming. You can actually talk about how you've made data work. Because the entire world is going toward automation, the entire world is going toward artificial intelligence, and the entire world is moving fast and furious around how to use information. And what executives need to hear at your companies are, data is information. It comes in different forms. But the word data is what I call bastardized. It is overused, it is talked about too much. You're going to hear it said up here about 15,000 times today. But what once started as cookie and device IDs has moved far past that. Far past that. One of the things I'm most proud about this year, and we have folks from IBM here, is we are the global DMP for IBM. And we work with IBM to feed Watson location data. And that is important for us because it's the next generation of machine learning. It's the next generation of artificial intelligence. And for your companies, keeping your businesses at the cutting edge of that is important. This is a little bit about the other side of our business, which is the size and scope and the footprint of how you can append all of your first-party data through our data exchange. These numbers, from a scale perspective, are important, but I'm more concerned about the word quality. And what you're going to hear today is data quality, because the world has moved past scale. You don't care about third-party data. You know what you care about? Performance. You care about making sure that your data performs. And it's not only about, hey, how big can that audience get? It's how quality can that audience get? And that is one of our huge roadmap initiatives this year that you're going to hear about today. It's called LDQ. And that's important. So I wanted to make sure that you know that this fire hose of information can be pointed at your business at any time. So in the US, I want to share with you a little bit about our business so that you get to see what I believe when I come back here next year and we do this event. I do think we're going to have this data for you to use. And remember about the data exchange that you just saw, all the data from those different countries? There's about 100 million people in this region that we have profile data on. We have in the US 8 million televisions that are connected. Like in your market, it's Samsung. In the US, there's connected TV companies that we're the DMP for. They're all IP enabled. So this is an IP address. This is an IP address. So we get the fire hose of everything that's on the screen, whether it's Netflix or YouTube or any programming, we get the fire hose of that from a company called Inscape. Once we do that, we use our device graph to map those IP addresses and that program, that viewership data, to a cookie and a mobile ID. And this is what the output is. Audience insight-driven TV. You can plan, you can target. Because what is happening in the world, in the digital world, that you're going to be seeing shortly, is that everything is addressable. The TV set, we all know your desktop is, your mobile device, but every TV is turning into the exact same thing that your desktop and your mobile device is. The key part is you, at your companies, if you have access to any kind of device ID, you can substitute. It doesn't have to be TV, it could be anything. We have a company that is giving us printers, IP-enabled printers. Some people would call that IoT, Internet of Things. Substitute the printers here. Satellite radio in the US. That's IP enabled. And what you're seeing and what you are going to be experiencing if you aren't already is the total submersion of an audience. I want to know about this audience, I want to know them by device, and I want it to be addressable. And that is what I think is happening much faster than anyone realizes. There's a lot of unique use cases. I'm touching base on some of them. These are the ones that are, I think, for each of you, the building blocks of DMP. But what we'll start noticing in the language that we're speaking is it moves quickly past simply the programmatic targeting world. I think there's challenges in everything everyone's doing in business. I think there's major challenges. But what I do think is the word modeling, the word insights and analytics, and the word ROI all stem from better use of first-party data. So here's my dream about today. My dream about today is that you come away from here with 2 things, not 5, 2 things that you didn't know when you walked in the room. I think it's totally realistic. Whether it's people you've connected with that you didn't know about, whether it's opportunities to share data, whether it's a different use of the platform, whether it's third-party data, whether it's marrying surveys to your first-party data. I would like just 2 things to come from today, because then it will have been worth it. And I make myself available all the way through today. If I can help in any way, internally at your companies or externally, having each of you as customers is a great honor and something I'm so privileged to say how important it is to me. And I will do anything it takes to make each of you successful. So I value your time, your presence, and thank you for being here today. Have a wonderful afternoon, and please let me know if I can help any of you in any way. Thank you, everyone.
I've ended a lot of speeches, but never like that.
Wow. Thank you, Andy.